Is never more than 10 minutes away.
Action News Now Mornings. Storm Tracker weather to keep you safe and prepared.
November 8th, 2018. The Camp Fire erupted near Polga.
Battling a 10-acre vegetation fire in the...
Flames spread quickly as thousands raced to escape a fiery death.
I could hear the embers on the top of the car. I was so afraid.
Some in their cars, others on foot. People helping people survive.
I could tell that it was going to be probably the most severe fire I've ever been on in my life.
The Camp Fire destroyed thousands of homes, leaving nothing but charred ruins.
We're alive. We survived it. Didn't have much left.
The fast-moving inferno killed more than 80 people.
Let people know we care enough about them to come and do this.
Lives ruined and communities left in mourning. Now, wondering how to survive.
They deserve us to come back here and build in their honor.
But our community pulled together, providing shelter, food, and clothing, helping the survivors recover, rise from the ashes.
We all come together as one, and we're the Paradise family.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us for this Action News Now special, The Camp Fire Out of the Ashes. I'm Alan Marsden.
And I'm Julia Yarbo. The Camp Fire is the deadliest wildfire in California history, killing more than 85 people and leaving thousands without a home. Tonight, we take a look at our warning system and evacuation plan.
We also show you the people of Concal, Magalia, and Paradise rising above the ashes to help each other, as well as first responders rushing to the rescue, saving dozens of lives, and how everyone is dealing with the scope of this tragedy.
But we begin with Action News Now anchor Cecile Juliet as she takes us through the first 12 hours of terror.
The Camp Fire started right over this ridge behind me. In fact, you can see the burned trees on the hillside. Flames quickly swept that way. What happened over the next 12 hours, nobody could have predicted.
Possible power line down, got about a 35-mile-an-hour sustained wind on it. This has got potential for a major incident.
As dawn broke on November 8th, flames first reported by a PG&E worker raged toward Concal.
We have breaking news at this hour. Cal Fire is battling a 10-acre vegetation fire in the Feather River Canyon. Now, this is in the Camp Creek Road area near Highway 70.
Shut down Highway 70, 10 and 70.
We're not seeing any roads being completely blocked off except for Pence Road.
Just south of Pearson, across the Roxburgh, visible fire. All traffic on Pearson needs to be stopped.
Flames raced into Lower and East Paradise. Thick smoke turned day into night, smothering the town with smoky darkness, the only light from the fire.
Hopefully, we make it out, but I guess this is goodbye to our house.
We should go.
We should. We're gonna.
People grabbed what they could and tried to get out. Cars filled with panicked people clogging the skyway. Flames spread too quickly for firefighters to beat back. Their attention now turning from battling the raging inferno to rescues and evacuations.
Southbound from Feather River Hospital on Pence is all blocked by fire.
It's been 3 hours I've been trying to get down Skyway. The fire is burning on both sides.
Terrified people abandoned their burning cars and trucks, and they ran for their lives.
Are they coming for us?
Come on.
Watch out, watch out.
As thousands used all lanes of the skyway to escape.
The whole lower side of Paradise is totally engulfed in flames right now.
I barely made it out. There was fire all around me. It's so scary. Heavenly Father, please help us.
Some who made it out described driving through walls of flames.
We had to drive literally through fire. It was like driving through hell. It was horrible.
Not sure if they would make it out alive, choking on thick, heavy smoke, while others were trapped with nowhere to go.
Can't see, you can't breathe. It's terrible. I've never seen anything like this.
If you're have family in there and whatnot, you need to pray for them because they are literally driving through tunnels of flames.
Flames that were maybe 200 feet high, a ridge of them behind the Kmart, Save Mart shopping center. All those trees were just on fire, and I just knew Kmart was toast.
Oh my God. One woman stuck with dozens of others in a Paradise parking lot. Tears of shock and relief as she realized she had survived. By 6:30, the Camp Fire threatened the southeast side of Chico, and Paradise was gone.
If one picture could summarize the day, this might be one picture there.
As night fell, flames approached Highway 32 below Forest Ranch before burning back into Lower Magalia, leaving a trail of ash and devastation in its wake. Cecile Juliet, Action News Now.
Well, those first 12 hours were make or break for the people of Concal, Magalia, and Paradise.
Action News Now weather anchor Court Klopping shows us the timing of the Camp Fire and what made it move so quickly.
The morning of November 8th, it all started at 6:30 a.m. on Camp Creek Road in Polga, just off of Highway 70. But in that first 2 hours that the campfire burned, it rapidly spread through areas of Concal and into the town of Paradise. Over that next 12 hours, the fire then spread up towards Magalia, towards California Highway 99, and towards Highway 32. During that time frame, there are estimates that the fire did grow at a speed of 80 football fields per minute. And what led to this fire rapidly spreading? Well, the conditions that morning were ripe for fire danger. Dangerously dry fuels were observed. That did allow the fire to catch very quickly, and humidity was extremely low, allowing for the fire to grow rapidly, as well as gusty winds out of the northeast up to around 50 miles an hour. In fact, in the Feather River Canyon that morning, the Jarbo Gap weather station saw a gust of 52 miles an hour. Now, as those gusts came through, they also pushed strong gusts through favorable canyons throughout the Feather River area, and that allowed the fire to grow rapidly. And of course, that did cause that fire to spread into areas of Paradise within 2 hours of the fire start in Polga. Court Klopping, Action News Now.
And as Court just explained, the campfire spread at an alarming rate through populated areas.
And that's why sounding the alarm as quickly and loudly as possible can mean the difference between life and death.
I knew that whatever I had to let burn or whatever, we had to make it down that hill.
Reliving November 8th is emotional for Amber Madsen. She finds some normalcy here with her 2-year-old son. She says just after 7 a.m. the morning of the campfire, the sky was an orange hue. She heard crackling, called her husband to ask, is Concal burning?
So I leaned forward to look out the window and I noticed that my neighbor's house had caught fire.
Madsen does not have cell service, but did register a home phone with the Butte County Emergency Alert System. She says she never received an alert message. With flames just feet from her home, she barely had time to grab her son and go. Paradise home and business owner Lori Crowder barely made it out as well, but she had a head start.
At 8:31, I received the code red notice. Due to the fire in the area, an evacuation order has been issued for zones 2, 6, 7, and 13. If assistance is needed in evacuating, please call 911.
Crowder, her husband, and dogs are all safe.
I no longer have my home. I no longer have my business.
Since the campfire, there has been no shortage of stories of escape, and those who say they did or did not receive any emergency alert messages.
A local agency has to decide they need to put out an alert and a warning.
I spoke with Kelly Houston, Deputy Director of the California Office of Emergency Services, about state guidelines for alerts and notifications.
In California, the challenge we have is that there's 58 different counties and 58 different ways in which those jurisdictions do alert and warning.
The most well-known, says Houston, the Emergency Alert System, tested nationwide earlier this year. Local jurisdictions can request Cal OES activate that alert in major emergencies. Unique regional needs and technology, say Houston, have led law enforcement and county managers to turn increasingly to digital platforms.
Good morning, everyone. We are following breaking news as Cal Fire.
People also rely on local media for crucial information. Action News Now mobile app users received alerts of the campfire evacuations as early as 7:44 a.m.
People don't listen to the radio or watch terrestrial television. They may not have a smartphone, or in some cases, the fire in this case may be moving so fast it's burning down cell towers that would be used to send out a wireless emergency alert.
Cal Fire Captain John Gaddy arrived on scene near Polga shortly after 7:20 a.m. He describes the campfire as a different animal, at times moving as fast as 7 miles an hour. He says during the campfire, information about the intensity, direction, and threat was immediately passed directly from the Cal Fire Incident Commander to local law enforcement.
So they looked at a map and said the fire is going to this point. I would advise, or we should evacuate.
How best to get that information to everyone in danger? The Code Red Emergency Alert System is currently used by the city of Chico. Butte County uses the same platform, It is administered by the Sheriff's Office. Action News Now spoke often with Sheriff Corey Honey throughout the Camp Fire. He says his agency is responsible for alert messages to unincorporated areas. The town of Paradise has the ability to send its citizens alerts. The morning of the Camp Fire, he says, was challenging.
This particular event was unprecedented. It moved so rapidly. The resources were overwhelmed almost immediately. And so we were trying to help Paradise trying to help us. We were all trying to get as much information out as we possibly could.
Literally, we were dispatching fire trucks to knock on doors and just pick people up and take them out of there.
Houston says after large-scale emergencies, all agencies involved prepare an after-action report.
To make sure that the next time this happens, that it's done better and it protects people more than it did before.
It would be great to have a siren warning, almost like a tornado siren.
And that's not improbable. The 2015 Valley Fire prompted Lake County to install 4 sirens to warn of fire. The county's emergency services manager tells me crews placed those sirens this summer. Sirens have yet to be fully tested and protocol put in place, but they will be in conjunction with Lake County's existing digital notification system.
No one system works for everybody. You have to have kind of a multi-layer approach. And even then, you're going to get people who aren't tuned in to what's going on. They're not listening. Or if they are, they'll refuse to heed your warning.
The potential for this to happen again to a large community is there. So I think we should revisit everything with regards to telling how we should get people out.
But even after the warning sounded, getting out was not guaranteed.
Action News Now anchor Lauren Martinez examines the evacuation routes and what's changed over the past 10 years.
Thank you for all your wonderful blessings you have given us.
14-year-old Dallin Parrott prayed as his father Blaine drove through what so many described as hell.
Okay, keep your windows rolled up.
In another car, Blaine's sister said a prayer of her own.
Heavenly Father, please help us.
An evacuation that unfolded on a massive scale that authorities say was the worst-case scenario.
Because of the progression of that fire, it went 6.7 miles in an hour and a half.
At that speed, Paradise could no longer evacuate in phases as planned and rehearsed. Instead, Paradise, Magalia, and Concow evacuated at once.
When you have, say, 26,000 people in Paradise plus another 13,000 in Magalia trying to come down through the town, you're going to get pinch points and bottlenecks.
And that's exactly what happened.
It's been 3 hours I've been trying to get down Skyway. The fire is burning on both sides.
After the wildfires in 2008, a grand jury report said additional evacuation routes were necessary. It stated that there are 4 available southbound evacuation routes from Paradise: Skyway, Neal, Clark, and Pence Roads. There are no adequate northbound evacuation routes. Since the report, the federal government funded the Forest Highway 171 reconstruction project that included paving and widening the Skyway north of Inskip.
What used to be dirt portion of the Skyway over to Butte Meadows has now been paved.
The safety improvement to the north may have alleviated some of the traffic flow heading through Paradise, but all escape routes were burned, including Pence Road. Traffic bottlenecked down the Skyway, leaving people in their cars for hours.
Are we gonna make it alive to Chico?
Yeah.
Blaine Parrott stayed as calm as he could.
It wouldn't have done any good for me to be showing what I felt on the inside, on the outside.
Parrott had all 3 of his sons with him, his eldest driving behind him.
And the windows you couldn't touch because they would burn you if you touched them. That's how bad it was. It's amazing how none of the cars that were driving up Skyway broke down or burned.
Public Works Director Mark Maddox directed traffic off the Skyway and Pearson Road for 5 hours that day.
I don't think you'll find anyone that says this was a perfect evacuation. There was traffic and there was waiting and it was traumatic.
He stands by a decision made in 2013 that reduced 4 lanes into 3 in the downtown district.
People like to say 4 to 2 lanes, but we have 3 lanes and they were fully utilized in this event. And the addition of a 4th would not have been practicable based on this incident and the need to evacuate traffic off of Pearson as well.
But was a mass evacuation considered before reducing the lanes?
They thought the same thing we did, that, oh, Paradise will never burn. I mean, the whole town would have to burn in order for that to be an issue. And the issue happened.
The day of the Camp Fire, police made the Skyway one way out of Paradise.
So afraid. that the car was going to go on fire, and my husband's behind me, and I can't get a hold of him. I'm so scared. I'm so scared. It's awful.
I understand.
The horror will stay with many, especially for families who lost a loved one.
The thing to keep in perspective is that even though we lost too many lives, being 86 now is what the number is, it could have been a lot worse.
Blaine had what thousands had on their minds.
That I just wanted to make it through alive with my boys.
A prayer for the Parrott family.
Clear sky, guys.
That was answered.
Made it through. That's amazing, you guys.
So what caused the deadliest and most destructive wildland fire in our state's history?
Almost 2 months after the Camp Fire, the only thing CAL FIRE will say is it's under investigation. But I learned that the focus appears to be on a damaged PG&E electrical transmission tower, damage PG&E itself acknowledges.
And now, Action News Now Storm Track.
On the morning of November 8th, the red flag warning was in effect.
We've got big concerns for high fire danger across Northern California today. In fact, critical fire danger on the way.
One spark could spell disaster, and around 6:30 a.m., disaster struck near Pulga. CAL FIRE isn't saying what sparked the fire, but Bay Area attorney Dario DiGataldi says he knows. His firm represents hundreds of Camp Fire victims in multiple lawsuits against PG&E.
It does not take a rocket scientist to figure out that there was a problem with the jumper cable coming into contact with the tower, with the support extension.
DiGataldi is talking about a PG&E electrical transmission tower perched on a ridge above the tiny town of Pulga. It's where the Camp Fire started and where PG&E reported to the California Public Utilities Commission they had an outage minutes earlier. DiGataldi says photographs of the tower clearly show signs of a support arm failure that sent a high voltage line into contact with the metal of the tower, sending hot debris to the ground below, starting the Camp Fire. And in a recent additional filing with the CPUC, PG&E essentially confirmed all that, except the part about starting the fire. PG&E stated that a suspension insulator supporting a transposition jumper had separated from an arm on the tower, and that it found a broken C-hook attached to the separated suspension insulator. PG&E also observed a flash mark on the tower. And in addition to all that, CAL FIRE says there may have been a second ignition point separate from the Pulga Tower area. They won't say where, but an emergency dispatch just after 7 a.m. suggests Rim Road in Concal.
Engine 2161, based on the fire watch cameras, it's possible there's a second fire in the area of Rim Road, just east of Concal Reservoir.
In the CPUC filing, PG&E said this about the second location, that it observed a pole and other equipment on the ground with bullets and bullet holes at the break point of the pole and on the equipment, as well as wires down, damaged and downed poles, and snapped trees on top of the downed wires. PG&E is refusing Action News Now's request for an interview. Meanwhile, DiGataldi says, as far as that tower above Pulga, he's certain the evidence will show insufficient inspection and maintenance by PG&E.
These steel structures don't collapse by themselves without some kind of problem in either the design or the maintenance.
In a written statement, PG&E said, "We look forward to the opportunity to carefully review the CAL FIRE report, which has not been made public yet, to understand the agency's perspectives. In the meantime, we will remain focused on helping the community who is impacted by this wildfire to recover and rebuild." Meanwhile, a federal judge gave PG&E until December 31st to explain the role it played, if any, in starting the Camp Fire.
Well, many of you called and emailed Action News Now asking why tanker planes did not attack the Camp Fire more quickly. The answers when Out of the Ashes returns.
Hi, I'm Dugan Barr, founder of Barr and Mudford.
Hi, I'm Brandon Stormit.
Hi, I'm Katie Barr. I'm Esty Lewis.
And I'm Doug Mudford. We all live and work in Northern California. Our firm has been representing our neighbors for over 50 years. We've all been affected by the awful destruction from the losses of lives, businesses, and property from the car and campfires. To have your losses evaluated, call us. We're here to help.
Call today or go to barrandmudford.com.
For nearly 2 decades, I've said West Haven Senior Living in Orland is an extraordinary place, providing extraordinary care to extraordinary people. Now West Haven is offering licensed, affordable, intimate family-style care communities at the Village at West Haven. An extraordinary planned adult community. While getting older may be inevitable, at West Haven, ensuring your loved one's sense of belonging remains our timeless promise.
Now pre-leasing new Village family-style care communities at West Haven Senior Living in Orland.
Open a new membership and qualify an account at Sierra Central Credit Union and get entered to win. Sign up for your lifetime membership with banking benefits and get entered for a chance to win pro sports tickets, concert tickets, cash, or a Tahoe getaway. Every month, there'll be a new winner. Already a member? Just refer a family member or friend to open up a new membership and qualify an account, and you can get entered for the drawing. Text SCCU now or visit SierraCentral.com and click the Open an Account Now button today.
Speaking to those affected by the recent wildfires, when navigating things like insurance claims, lawsuits, and trying to create a new normal, it's understandable that you might not dot every I or cross every T. You need an advocate who's been down this path before. Someone who can make sure you're represented fairly and get you the best return for your loss. Matthews & Associates is here to help. Let us help you down this difficult road to recovery. Matthews & Associates, let us help you recover.
Almost as soon as the campfire broke out, it was too late. The remote location made it nearly impossible to contain the flames.
Action News Now reporter Spencer Joseph spoke to the air attack supervisor about the firefight from above.
This fire moved so quickly. It moved almost 7 miles in an hour to hour and a half.
And any news on early up air attack air resources?
As we took off from the airport, we turned the corner and I immediately saw the smoke column. I could tell that it was going to be probably the most severe fire I've ever been on in my life.
At 7:50 a.m. on the morning of November 8th, the very first planes took to the sky.
Supervisor, who is the battalion chief at the air attack base, made the initial response himself.
That battalion chief, Shem Hawkins, along with one tanker pilot, were the first to see the fire from the air.
The first pilot that we had off the ground actually got off before I did in the air tanker. So he was over the top of the fire and just gotten there just before I did. On its present location, I could see that it was on a trajectory for Paradise, so I immediately ordered additional aircraft.
This is what they saw after taking off from the airport. When the first tanker pilot tried to make his drops, conditions were too extreme.
The tanker pilot at one point actually engined his to idle.
At that point, you would expect the aircraft to start to descend pretty rapidly. He was actually increasing in altitude, so he was rising 1,000 feet per minute.
His aircraft was still rising because that's how fast the wind was blowing.
Then he immediately met some bad air and felt some extreme turbulence in the aircraft. That's when we had to make the determination to shut the fixed wing down that morning.
Battalion Chief Hawkins stayed over the fire, calling helicopters to protect evacuation routes.
So I was in communication with the incident commander, letting him know where the fire's location was, and also advising on evacuation.
They did bring in helicopters because they can get underneath that smoke column.
And we started putting those helicopters in play to protect the evacuation corridors.
And as people evacuated, they wondered why more planes weren't flying.
I'm happy to see a lot of fire engines going up, but I like to see a lot more Airbuses in the air.
Just after 12:30 in the afternoon, air tankers returned to attack the flames from the air.
Because up until that point, we're just trying to save people's lives and get them out of the area. We weren't even worried at that point about controlling or trying to contain the fire. They dropped 69,000 gallons of retardant that day. They actually had 9 air tankers flying between 12:40 and cutoff time.
And for Chief Hawkins, he explains with emotion in his voice how this firefight meant more to him because he was over Paradise, the place where he grew up.
But I do have that heartfelt compassion for that community because I did grow up there. And I know those people. And so when you're over the top and you see that situation developing, you want to make sure that you do the utmost to be able to provide that service that you can to protect life and property. There's not. Simply put, if we had had every aircraft airborne over the top of the fire when it started, I doubt we would have been able to stop this fire.
Well, battling countless wildfires and seeing death and destruction firsthand can take a toll on even the most seasoned first responders.
Our Haley Watts spoke to some of them about what they're going through and how to cope with it.
I saw a huge plume of smoke over Paradise, and I thought to myself, this is going to be a bad day.
From a bad day to this. What you're looking at is body cam footage of what Deputy Aaron Parmley believed to be the last moments of his life.
I've never been in a situation before like I was that day. Never. Not once.
It wasn't just self-preservation that kept the Butte County Sheriff's deputy moving when the Camp Fire roared out of Polga and swept across the foothills.
I had 3 nurses in the back seat and then a nurse and a CHP officer in the front seat of my car. And when I jumped into my car, I noticed something was wrong.
Their only choice was to run.
Couldn't see very far. It hurt to breathe. Embers were landing in our hair and hurting really bad.
Through luck or maybe a miracle, a bulldozer came along. Can we get in? But the escape was just the beginning. Parmley went back to get people out of Magalia, stopping just once on a personal rescue mission before the Camp Fire took his home.
I grabbed this jacket. I grabbed my cats. I have 2 cats. And I grabbed a blanket and an old sheriff's office hat. I never noticed that I was hungry. Never noticed I was hungry. I never noticed that I was thirsty. I was too focused on what am I doing next. I kind of had to just get through it. I couldn't not do anything because I have to evacuate Magalia. I have to evacuate Paradise. I have a job to do.
Sounds impossible, but his reaction is a common one.
Getting through the first 24, 36 hours, it didn't really faze anybody in regards to like, oh, I need to think about my food, my hydration, or anything like that, because it was so fast-paced. It's when you're going into day 3, day 4, and especially that initial toll coming off the next day of seeing that extreme amount of devastation. Day 3 is when you definitely start to need to start talking to everybody.
At one point, after they'd been on for about 3 weeks, we had to start thinking about ordering them to take days off. That was an interesting thing because none of them wanted to leave. They all wanted to stay working. They all wanted to keep coming to work and doing the job. They're committed to this community.
More than 100 first responders kept saving lives, saving homes, all the while knowing their own were gone.
We had to watch out for each other, had to keep an eye on each other, and where someone might be having some difficulty, we needed to intervene to see what we could do to take care of them. We put a team together internally to start helping those individuals secure first short-term housing and then longer-term housing to start dealing with some of the immediate financial needs, as well as some of the basic necessities of life like food and clothing and things like that.
Some firefighters tell me the best way to cope with the trauma is to keep talking about it. Looking death in the face, walking away from a life reduced to ash, I asked first responders, is this really what you signed up for?
We made a commitment to the community that when we took this job, that we would come on and do everything we possibly can. And being a firefighter is more of a calling than a job. So it's not that you're forced to do it, it's because you want to do it.
We're no longer running on adrenaline. I think we're running on commitment. Commitment to this community, commitment to doing the best job that we possibly can.
I, to this day, have never had a second thought about this career that I've chosen. In fact, I to this day cannot think of anything that I would rather do.
Haley Watts, Action News Now.
Well, with evacuation orders now lifted, many are going back to their homes.
Action News Now reporter Elizabeth Zeladone shows us how people of Concal, Paradise, and Magalia are now looking toward the future.
This sign welcoming neighbors back to the town of Paradise has more meaning now than ever. Not only is it a reminder of the devastation, but it's also a sign of hope, strength, and reminding neighbors of the loving community they're coming back to.
November 8th is the day that life in Concal, Magalia, and Paradise became a nightmare.
Traffic's not moving. Come on, people.
Now weeks after the worst wildfire in California history, community leaders and neighbors are looking to rebuild.
Now that people are able to get in, the big next step is debris removal. Also, the town of Paradise, after the first of the year, will start the planning process for what we want the new town to look like.
However, for these communities, it's not about the thousands of homes that are gone or the businesses that are no longer here. It's about those neighbors that have become family and that you love having right next door.
Paradise is the people and the spirit of giving back. There was so much community service in the town. It was the friendliest place that I ever lived.
It's about the memories that were once cherished.
Moved there in 5th grade and was able to have that Huck Finn kind of experience, going down to the rivers, you know, going dirt biking. The fire didn't take those away.
And it's about hope. Hope that Paradise, Concow, and Magalia will be filled again with the love, community support, and the hope for a bright future.
I lost my house, and my grandfather built the house, so it had a special meaning to me. But, you know, now maybe I get to build a house where he built one, and it'll kind of carry it forward.
Now, if you'd like to take part in those town meetings to discuss the new look of Paradise or anything to do with Magalia and Concow in its rebuilding process, we'll keep you updated with the dates for those meetings on our website, actionnewsnow.com. In Paradise, Elizabeth Celidon, Action News Now.
Butte County Sheriff Corey Honey was front and center during the campfire.
Stories and even memes about him quickly went viral. Action News Now anchor Debbie Cobb caught up with the sheriff and talked to him about his newfound fame.
Speaking to those affected by the recent wildfires, when navigating things like insurance claims, lawsuits, and trying to create a new normal, it's understandable that you might not dot every I or cross every T. You need an advocate who's been down this path before. Someone who can make sure you're represented fairly and get you the best return for your loss. Matthews & Associates is here to help. Let us help you down this difficult road to recovery. Matthews & Associates, let us help you recover.
For nearly 2 decades, I've said West Haven Senior Living in Orland is an extraordinary place, providing extraordinary care to extraordinary people. Now West Haven is offering licensed, affordable, intimate family-style care communities at the Village at West Haven. An extraordinary planned adult community. While getting older may be inevitable, at West Haven, ensuring your loved one's sense of belonging remains our timeless promise.
Now pre-leasing new Village family-style care communities at West Haven Senior Living in Orland.
Have you considered a home equity line of credit? HELOC funds can be used for home improvement and so much more. Pay for a wedding, switch your house to solar, send your kids to college. Sierra Central Credit Union offers minimal fees and a low introductory APR. It's your house, it's your money, so what will you use your line of credit for? For more information on how HELOC can change your life, visit SierraCentral.com or stop in today. Live life at the speed of you with Sierra Central Credit Union.
Hi, I'm Dugan Barr, founder of Barr & Mudford.
Hi, I'm Brandon Stormont.
Hi, I'm Katie Barr.
I'm Esty Lewis.
And I'm Doug Mudford. We all live and work in Northern California. Our firm has been representing our neighbors for over 50 years. We've all been affected by the awful destruction from the losses of lives, businesses, and property from the car and campfires. To have your losses evaluated, call us. We're here to help.
Call today or go to barrandmudford.com.
There was one man who took charge when the campfire broke out, Butte County Sheriff Corey Honey. But not even 26 years of law enforcement experience could prepare him for what came next.
Action News Now anchor Debbie Cobb met with him in Paradise to find out what went wrong, what went right, and what's next for the man who's seen his share of disasters.
Got off the phone with dispatch. I advised them to make sure they get that code red done.
You were looking at the campfire the first hour, no one knowing the catastrophe that would lie ahead. Sheriff Corey Honey was having a cup of coffee at home and reading emails.
You're going to be accessing the snap list for anybody that needs help up there.
Then the calls started coming in, and he immediately started heading up the Skyway.
It was on the radio, the fire was going in all the different directions. It was hard to, it wasn't moving in one single direction. It was just threatening, multiple communities.
He would be in the eye of the fire. His first order, send traffic down all lanes of the Skyway and notify Chico PD to stop the traffic at the bottom from going up. Working feverishly with his daughter, a Paradise police officer herself, to get people out. When a call came in, he says he will never forget.
Those radio transmissions where I was hearing our deputies talk about how they needed fire immediately at their location, and the response back was that there was no resources, that there was no fire engines to send. and that they were going to need to abandon their vehicles and seek shelter. And I remember distinctly thinking to myself, I may never hear those deputies again. That may be the last time we ever hear from them again.
He headed toward them on Clark Road.
It's very dark, very smoky, hard to see. Ash is raining down, and then embers start to rain down.
And the intense heat.
And I remember specifically the heat from the outside of the vehicle. You could feel it distinctly inside the car.
The fire was swallowing Paradise, and the sheriff prepared for possible evacuations in Thermalito and South Chico. The fire was accelerating at the rate of a football field a second.
In many respects, we were dealing with something that outpaced our resources so quickly. And as I've said before, this thing was outrunning us before we even knew we were in a race.
And the lessons would be costly. More than 80 souls lost. Sheriff Honey says there are lessons to be learned, a multi-layered warning system. So when technology fails, in this case, cell phone towers being burned down, there is another way of notifying people and improving infrastructure by designing wider roadways.
When it is rebuilt, it won't be the same. This event will have changed, I think, our community forever. I'm hoping that we can capture some of the best aspects of Butte County and the communities of Butte County when we do rebuild, but we've got a long road ahead of us.
The sheriff says he was amazed at the hundreds and hundreds of acts of heroism and compassion on the part of his deputies, other first responders, and community members. As for his future, he's become somewhat of a celebrity. One restaurant has gone as far as to put up a jumbo card for him with his picture. One comment suggesting he be Time Magazine's Man of the Year. To that, Sheriff Honey humbly said,
in all honesty, I'm kind of looking forward to getting back to my primary job of fighting crime and preventing crime.
On special assignment, Debbie Cobb, Action News Now.
And when Out of the Ashes returns, we take a look at how survivors are reacting to seeing their homes for the first time.
And we look to the future to see how Chico City leaders are preparing for a permanent population spike.
Hi, I'm Dugan Barr, founder of Barr and Mudford.
Hi, I'm Brandon Stormit.
Hi, I'm Katie Barr.
I'm Esty Lewis.
And I'm Doug Mudford. We all live and work in Northern California. Our firm has been representing our neighbors for over 50 years. We've all been affected by the awful destruction from the losses of lives, businesses, and property from the car and campfires. To have your losses evaluated, call us. We're here to help.
Call today or go to barandmudford.com.
For nearly 2 decades, I've said West Haven Senior Living in Orland is an extraordinary place, providing extraordinary care to extraordinary people. Now West Haven is offering licensed, affordable, intimate family-style care communities at the Village at West Haven. An extraordinary planned adult community. While getting older may be inevitable, at West Haven, ensuring your loved one's sense of belonging remains our timeless promise.
Now pre-leasing new Village family-style care communities at West Haven Senior Living in Orland.
Open a new membership and qualify an account at Sierra Central Credit Union and get entered to win. Sign up for your lifetime membership with banking benefits and get entered for a chance to win pro sports tickets, concert tickets, cash, or a Tahoe getaway. Every month, there'll be a new winner. Already a member? Just refer a family member or friend to open up a new membership and qualify an account, and you can get entered for the drawing. Text SCCU now or visit SierraCentral.com and click the Open an Account Now button today.
Speaking to those affected by the recent wildfires, when navigating things like insurance claims, lawsuits, and trying to create a new normal, it's understandable that you might not dot every I or cross every T. You need an advocate who's been down this path before. Someone who can make sure you're represented fairly and get you the best return for your loss. Matthews & Associates is here to help. Let us help you down this difficult road to recovery. Matthews & Associates, let us help you recover.
In the days after the Camp Fire, Concow, Magalia, and Paradise were ghost towns.
The evacuation orders have been lifted, and people are getting their first looks at what's left of their homes. Action News Now reporter Christina Vitale caught up with a few of them.
Almost 14,000 structures were destroyed. Over 50,000 people were displaced. But as evacuation orders were being lifted, people were able to come back after weeks of being gone and see their homes for for the first time.
Rougher than I thought it would be.
Becky Dresser was out of town when the fire hit Magalia.
It's the loss of home. It's a loss of a home.
Mark told Action News Now what was going through his head as he was driving the Skyway to see what was left of his home.
As we came into Paradise, starting to see the devastation, it was overwhelming for my daughter, and I just stayed strong for her, and it was surreal. It was like driving into a war zone. It was hard pulling up to my driveway. Very hard. Probably the hardest thing I've ever faced. Seeing your neighborhood with just chimney, 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 chimney everywhere, and nothing left. Finally, we saw one house right over there that survived. And again, the same thing. One house survived, everything around it just completely gone. Only chimneys.
Lois Jervis from Paradise experienced the same frustration.
It was crazy, you know, the emotion of seeing that house and then ours. And it was hard.
Along Pence Road, some houses were spared by the fire, like this one, which is still standing and the grass is still relatively green. Lois said this house was almost an exact replica of hers, which is on this side, but was completely taken by the campfire.
They were built the same way by the same contractor. It was just the way the fire went around.
This whole neighborhood was destroyed, sparing only 2 houses. But for homeowners that have something still standing, the shock hits just as hard. Like Jonna Bradford Howes from Magalia.
I'm actually shaking because it doesn't feel real. And with all the devastation that's happened, to come home and actually see my house, I mean, I'm trying not to cry.
Summer Baker's home is still intact, but her childhood home next door is nothing but ash.
My dad built it. And he was a contractor and he passed away in February. So it was just, you know, like two-story custom log cabin overlooking the canyon. And he's not here, which I'm thankful that he didn't have to go through this because it would have broke his heart.
It's impossible to look at the devastation without remembering all the memories. That's the hardest part.
Christina Vitale.
But they're there.
Action News Now.
They'll be with us.
Well, many campfire survivors flooded into Chico. A city meant to support 90,000 must now figure out how to accommodate thousands more.
Action News Now reporter Stephanie Lynn looks into the city's possible plan.
That tension's going to continue to be there, and we have to try to figure out the balance.
Chico City Manager Mark Orm has his hands full.
Fire, police, public works, how can the city of Chico help with the debris removal component, because I know we're going to be asked to help. Along with the debris removal, you have transitional housing.
How will the city deal with the sudden 20% surge in population?
How many individuals are we able to support without relinquishing our high quality of life that we have here in the city?
It's a delicate balancing act.
Because we want to love on them and console them and help them, but we also have a public to serve. And right in the middle of that tension is patience.
The increased traffic, for one, now putting that patience to the test.
Preliminary estimates are we're looking at maybe anywhere between 20 and 25 additional vehicle trips per day.
Chico Public Works' Eric Gustafson expects the roadways to take a hit.
So that's a significant impact and growth.
They're taking video of the roads to track their deterioration, but it's no overnight fix.
We can't just widen roads overnight. That takes a lot of review and, of course, funding. But we could quantify the data that we have and reach towards those larger projects.
As for permanent housing, the city manager says that would need to be answered by Paradise. But Chico is supplying some transitional housing. The cost of all of this still being calculated by the city, but the city manager does tell us that he expects an $800,000 drop in revenue collected from property taxes alone.
When a tragedy or a disaster occurs within a county in the state of California, the property tax hit is shared by all taxing entities. Now, the disaster didn't necessarily occur within the city limits. We had some fire enter the city limits, but the disaster that occurred in Magalia and Paradise, that cost burden is shared by all the entities.
There's personnel costs.
I know we've got to be over $1 million of just personnel time spent.
And up to another $1 million loss in revenue collected from the transit occupancy tax. That's a 6% tax for overnight stays in motels, campsites, and RV parks that applies to the thousands of new people living in Chico.
Because with the long-term stays, once an individual goes over that 30-day period of being in a hotel stay, the TOT goes away.
That's money lost for Chico City Police, Fire, and Park Services, an impact that Orrin says state and local legislators are aware of.
I think we have a good opportunity to make sure and shore up these areas that were really weakened through this time.
In an ideal situation, the city manager expects most evacuees to have returned home in 5 years. But till then, he and others who run the city continue to learn as they go.
It's something that I would never wish upon any other city manager. But needless to say, these things do happen.
With a plan to pay it forward if and when the time comes.
And hopefully we can help others when they're going through this because we have the level of experience now.
In Chico, Stephanie Lynn, Action News Now.
Camp Fire victims are adjusting to their new normal in the aftermath of the fire.
Action News Now reporter Laura Eng spoke with some evacuees about what life has been like since the Camp Fire.
I don't think any of us will ever be the same. I think that's too much to ask. I think it's impossible.
For Camp Fire evacuee Jack Fellion, music is a way of life.
To have something that reminds us of what life used to be like before the fire, it's so nice.
Fellion is one of thousands who stayed in a campfire shelter. He brought his guitar with him. It helped ease his pain and other evacuees at the Church of the Nazarene in Oroville.
Midnight train, destination band, just to sing some Christmas carols, you know. The comfort of being around others, it's really incredible. Virtually everybody there had lost everything in their life. It was all burned up, and that's my case too. Everything I owned, 62 years of living, up in smoke, literally.
All right, we're blasting off in 3. Sierra Avenue Elementary Principal Lisa Shaw also lost her home in the Camp Fire.
It's so much to process. It's not just a loss of a home, it's a loss of jobs, of schools, of a community, people that you used to see every single day. You don't know when you'll see them again.
Shaw said this new reality is a struggle for her and her family.
It's really hard to know what's going to trigger. One minute you're feeling completely strong and you're feeling hopeful about the future and you can move forward, and then you get some kind of trigger and it just kind of makes you feel like, how am I going to do this? Going back to school has been a little bit of a challenge and has been a little bit of a trigger for one of my children. So working through that with him has caused a challenge.
Butte County Behavioral Health Director Dorian Kittrell said it's normal to feel this way.
I just can't stress enough how important it is for parents to get their children as best as possible back to a normal routine.
Kittrell emphasized giving children physical ways to cope with their loss.
Let them be a part of something. Maybe it's about somehow thanking the firefighters or rescue workers. Perhaps it's about a school activity that's going to build some project to help others who were impacted by the fire.
He says understanding and patience are essential when dealing with tragedy.
Someone who's gone through this event needs to understand that those feelings of grief and loss and feeling overwhelmed at times are normal. So we do anticipate that there will be people who need more supports in the future to come.
I'm here at the Silver Dollar Fairgrounds in Chico, the last remaining shelter for Camp Fire evacuees. And the Red Cross tells me there are at least 600 people registered at this shelter. Dean Breckheisen lost his home in the fire. He said it's been challenging to stay in a shelter all this time.
Not being able to sleep, only sleep 3 or 4 hours because, like I said, the light's shining in my eyes and they cracked the door and the heater's going about every 5 minutes and it's noisy. And then trying to talk to a Red Cross worker, which it goes in one ear and out the other.
He's trying to get a trailer so he can leave. How do you move on from something like this, if at all possible?
That's what I'm trying to figure out because, like I said, the rent and Anything to live on the outside of this shelter is not available, so I don't know what to do.
No phone. It's a nightmare, and it's something you just will not ever forget or come out of. Like I said, I will move on, but I'll never forget. You know, you can't forget this.
Laura Eng, Action News Now.
During this time of hardship, loss, and tragedy, our community has stood strong together.
When the campfire Out of the Ashes returns, we'll show you how people from across the state and country have helped the survivors.
Speaking to those affected by the recent wildfires, when navigating things like insurance claims, lawsuits, and trying to create a new normal, it's understandable that you might not dot every I or cross every T. You need an advocate who's been down this path before, someone who can make sure you're represented fairly and get you the best return for your loss. Matthews & Associates is here to help. Let us help you down this difficult road to recovery. Matthews & Associates, let us help you recover.
For nearly 2 decades, I've said West Haven Senior Living in Orland is an extraordinary place, providing extraordinary care to extraordinary people. Now West Haven is offering licensed, affordable, intimate family-style care communities at the Village at West Haven. An extraordinary planned adult community. While getting older may be inevitable, at West Haven, ensuring your loved one's sense of belonging remains our timeless promise.
Now pre-leasing new Village family-style care communities at West Haven Senior Living in Orland.
Remember when managing your bank account meant sitting at the table with your monthly statement and your checkbook? Now, everything you need is at your fingertips with Sierra Central Credit Union's electronic services. Access your accounts, transfer funds, pay bills, even apply for a loan, all from your computer or mobile device. Get the things you want, move the money you need 24/7. Live life at the speed of you with Sierra Central Credit Union.
Hi, I'm Dugan Barr, founder of Barr & Mudford.
Hi, I'm Brandon Stormit.
Hi, I'm Katie Barr.
I'm Esty Lewis.
And I'm Doug Mudford. We all live and work in Northern California. Our firm has been representing our neighbors for over 50 years. We've all been affected by the awful destruction from the losses of lives, businesses, and property from the car and campfires. To have your losses evaluated, call us. We're here to help.
Call today or go to barandmudford.com.
Almost as soon as the campfire broke out, the community began coming together.
Action News Now reporter Luna Nash shows us how many did whatever they could to help those in need.
From toy drives to making a Phoenix made entirely of keys, the community has really showed what it means to be Butte strong.
It's just amazing to see everybody, open up to us and help us out. We're both business owners in Paradise.
It's been very heartwarming how much the community has opened up and helped.
Children are one of the main focuses for people with giving hearts.
This year we're trying to make it a lot bigger. We're hoping to cater to the 2,400 kids that have been grades K through 8 that have been displaced by this tragic campfire.
Well, we were involved in the Paradise Fire, and I know a lot of people have lost everything. So I do this every year, so I just wanted to give to those people that have children.
So my husband and I woke up one morning and we thought we could do this. We could try to help and try to make a difference and hopefully spread some love and happiness this holiday. And so far it worked. It's been pretty cool. The response from the community has been amazing.
While thousands of toys have been donated throughout the community, one Chico State student had a special delivery.
Mary Walmark, who is a manager of student life here, decided to email the president of Zappos and tell him the situation, and we had 3 brand new pairs of shoes. Next day aired, Friday morning, and so, now Aaron's got more interviews and he's got plenty of shoes to choose from.
I'd like to thank him so much. It's very appreciated. Hopefully it helps me get a job and I don't have to worry about trying to find shoes right now.
The campfire ravaged through more than 150,000 acres, leaving hundreds of business owners displaced.
I put an ad on Facebook saying that we could host a displaced barber because I figured if I could help one person, that would make a big difference.
It's just one day it was fine, the next day everything's gone. So it's just move on from here. It's a neat community. It's going to take time, but we'll be back up there.
If it takes months or years, we're going to help him rebuild his life. It's going to be a really great experience for everyone involved.
The goal of my project is to create a phoenix sculpture out of the keys from survivors that lost property, businesses, vehicles, diaries, safes, any kind of key that had any type of memento.
Once complete, Jessie wants to give her creation to the city of Paradise in hopes that her community, like the legend of the Phoenix, will rise from the ashes.
People can forever look at and love and try to find their key and look through the scrapbook that I have building and just know that you're part of something bigger and that we're together even though we feel totally scattered right now.
All of the hard work from first responders didn't go unnoticed.
Firefighters, thank you for saving our community.
I just admire the people who are still strong after the fire. They lost like their homes and a lot of things, and right now they're still up and running.
In time of tragedy, look for the helpers. There's always going to be helpers.
The campfire has taken lives, homes, and businesses, but not the resilience of the community. Reporting in Chico, Luna Naz, Action News Now.
Coming up, we'll tell you where you can get help if you need it.
Or how you can lend a hand. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dugan Barr, founder of Barr in Mudford.
Hi, I'm Brandon Stormit.
Hi, I'm Katie Barr.
I'm Esty Lewis.
And I'm Doug Mudford. We all live and work in Northern California. Our firm has been representing our neighbors for over 50 years. We've all been affected by the awful destruction from the losses of lives, businesses, and property from the car and campfires. To have your losses evaluated, call us. We're here to help.
Call today or go to barandmudford.com.
For nearly 2 decades, I've said West Haven Senior Living in Orland is an extraordinary place, providing extraordinary care to extraordinary people. Now West Haven is offering licensed, affordable, intimate family-style care communities at the Village at West Haven. An extraordinary planned adult community. While getting older may be inevitable, at West Haven, ensuring your loved one's sense of belonging remains our timeless promise.
Now pre-leasing new Village family-style care communities at West Haven Senior Living in Orland.
Open a new membership and qualify an account at Sierra Central Credit Union and get entered to win. Sign up for your lifetime membership with banking benefits and get entered for a chance to win pro sports tickets, concert tickets, cash, or a Tahoe getaway. Every month, there'll be a new winner. Already a member? Just refer a family member or friend to open up a new membership and qualify an account, and you can get entered for the drawing. Text SCCU now or visit SierraCentral.com and click the Open an Account Now button today.
Speaking to those affected by the recent wildfires, when navigating things like insurance claims, lawsuits, and trying to create a new normal, it's understandable that you might not dot every I or cross every T. You need an advocate who's been down this path before. Someone who can make sure you're represented fairly and get you the best return for your loss. Matthews & Associates is here to help. Let us help you down this difficult road to recovery. Matthews & Associates, let us help you recover.
Our communities will be feeling the impacts from the Camp Fire for years, and Action News Now will keep bringing you the latest developments.
Yes? Yes. Thank you, Danny.
We're seeing high pressure, blah, 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 ridging off the Pacific Northwest.